Hi everyone, it's Andrea, Movers and Bakers. Today I am baking a cake for a good friend's birthday. He has requested Jamaican ginger cake. So today that's exactly what I'm going to show you how to make. Let's get baking. Okay, to get started, we are going to treat this very much like a traditional creaming method cake. So I've got my butter here, I've cubed it. I'm going to pop it in my blender. You can do this by hand if you want, but you will work harder for it, or you can do it using a handheld blender. I'm just using a stand mixer because I have one and because it makes my life a lot easier. So there's my butter in there. I'm going to give that a quick mix just to cream it up, loosen it a little bit, and then we'll put my sugars in. There we go, and to that I am going to add lots of sugar. So first of all I'm going to add muscovado sugar. I also have some golden syrup. Let me get all that in. Now I have found from making this recipe a few times, my last ingredient has to go in last. So my last ingredient is treacle. Treacle's amazing and sticky and dark, and it's going to give this cake an amazing, moist, sugary, gorgeous flavour, but it's really hard to get off anything. So that's why it's going right on top. So it's sitting on top of all my ingredients, so it's properly going to get mixed in and none of it is going to go to waste. So that's all done. Pop that back under there. Here we go. That is looking perfect. So if you look at it now, that is much paler, almost coffee colored. That's what you're looking for. So to that, I'm going to add my eggs and my vanilla as well. Now, when you mix this up, it may well look curdled. Don't worry, it will be fine. That's that done. Next thing to do are my dry ingredients. So into a large bowl, I'm going to sift these and I'm just going to dump them all in there to mix in a minute. So I've got my flour. Now because it's a ginger cake, I like my ginger cake really spicy with a really good amount of kick. So I've got a really good amount of ginger here. You can tone it down a bit if that's what you want to do, but I like it spicy. Right, that's my ginger. Cinnamon is next, and a little bit of nutmeg as well. And my last ingredient, bicarbonate of soda. Sift all that in, and then it's going to get mixed in with that. There we go. That's all my dry ingredients sifted in. So I'm going to just dump this straight in here, give it a bit of a mix. What my last ingredient is buttermilk. Now I love putting buttermilk in my cakes. I find it gives it a really tender crumb. It keeps it light and fluffy, but it makes it just really delicious to eat. Keeps it moist. It doesn't make it, but even if it's a dense cake, it just keeps it really tender and beautiful. So instead of dumping this all in one go, I'm just going to drizzle it in while my mixer is running. And that is my cake mixture done. After I put the buttermilk in, I just gave it one last whiz at a high speed, just to get the last bit of air in, make sure it's all really well whisked together. And that is my cake mixture done. So while I have been making my cake, I've had my oven preheating. My oven has been preheating at 170, and I have a couple of cake tins lined on the bottom and greased, ready to go, and all that's left to be done is put these in there, and they're going to go in the oven for about 35 minutes. I shall see you on the other side with some cake. Okay, my cakes are out of the oven. They have cooled completely. I'm going to make a start on the icing before I bring them and bring it all together. So to start with, I'm going to put my butter into my mixing bowl. I'm just going to beat it just to get it all combined and soft. I'm going to whiz it around for maybe 30 seconds just to soften it up a little. Once you've softened your butter, we're going to add cream cheese into it. Make sure when you use cream cheese that you use the full fat variety. That's the best way to make sure that it's not going to split on you and go really liquidy. You want it to be as fatty as possible. And we'll give that a mix. So that's my butter and my cream cheese combined. What I'm going to do now, I've got my icing sugar here. I have already sifted it, so I don't need to do it again. But to that, I'm going to add my spices. So I have some cinnamon, some ginger, and some nutmeg. So sift those in just to make sure there's no lumps. Normally my ginger will have a few lumps in. There we go. And now I'm just going to gradually add this all in here and incorporate it to make my icing. So once you've incorporated all your icing sugar mix, just turn the speed up and whiz it for a minute or so just to get it all nice and fluffy and lovely again. And there you have it. That is our cream cheese icing done. Time to put a cake together. I'm going to put a little blob of icing onto the cake stand itself just to keep my cake from sliding about. Cake on, give it a squish to make sure it stays. Okay, and I've put it on really generously. I always like to put my cakes with the cooked side, so that's the top of my cake as it cooked. But I like to put the bottom on top because it tends to be really flat, so it gives me a lovely surface to work with. Give it a little bit of a wriggle just to get it to stay. There we go. So cream cheese is a naturally softer icing than buttercream, but it's an especially warm day today as I'm making this. And so my icing is also extremely soft. So what I'm going to do with this cake is I'm going to give it a very quick covering all the way around. And then I'm going to pop it in the fridge for about 20 minutes, half an hour, just for the icing to set. And what that means, what a crumb coat does, is it gives you a lovely smooth layer to work on. So then your outer layer isn't going to have the little bits of cake crumb in it like you can see on this layer. So just make sure it's nice and smooth all the way around. And then we will give it a second coat of cream cheese frosting once it comes out of the fridge. So my crumb coat is now cold. It is out of the fridge and I'm ready to do my second layer of icing. So to start with, I always put a layer on. Don't worry about smoothing it out yet. I'm just putting a generous layer of the icing around the cake, and then I will come back and I will smooth it out and make it look all pretty after. But first you want to just cover the cake and make sure that you can't see any cake through your icing. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this video, especially if you make this cake, don't forget to let me know how it turned out for you. Write down in the comments below. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this, to like this video, and please do subscribe and share the video with anyone you think might be interested. Right, my cake is now completely covered in icing, so now it's time to smooth it out and make it look all pretty. So all it is, if you've never iced a cake before, is you're just holding your knife flat against the side and then you're turning whatever plate or cake board or cake stand or a turntable if you have it, but you just need to keep your hand really still as your other hand moves the cake around. And every time you get icing on, don't forget to scrape it off. That will just help you keep that nice and smooth. And then for the top, and all you're going to do is you're just going to brush it inwards. That's all you're doing. You're just brushing it, grabbing the end and brushing it inwards. Right, that is my whole cake covered suitably. Right, that is my cake done. Now I have some, these are what I would use to make brandy snaps with, but instead of curling them around, I have just made them, kept them flat. So these are like brandy snaps, but they are very gingery and I love them. So I am going to use these to put them all the way around my cake, around the outside, as a little bit of extra decoration. And that is the side of my cake done. So around the top, just to make the top a little bit extra special, I have some crushed ginger biscuits here, and I'm just going to sprinkle them around the top. And there you have it, my Jamaican ginger cake fit for a king. I am sure my friend is going to enjoy this a lot. So don't forget, if you've enjoyed this video yourself, please do like it, do share it, and please do subscribe and tell all your family and friends about it. Until next time, happy baking.